mouth. Then they looking for trouble. Ran right up in the knowledge. Now they back in the huddle. See, they know we can fight. New content every week. Me and Dr. Clyde keep on bringing the heat. Now they know they were driven. And they know we quitting. Yoshi and the winners. Keep on bringing the energy. Unity. See, they know we ain't stopping. And they know they got problems. And they ran out of options. If they know we got a problem, can't let it go unsolved. Bring back learning, Afrocentric history, we see tomorrow. Karma's karma, I say what I say, I hear underwater. Till I see I fall off, then I bring y'all up on note. I'm back up on my Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Clyde winners, Clyde winners, Clyde winners. Divine winters, Clyde winters, mind bender. Clyde winters, I'm Richard, ride with ya. Master teacher, create masters, Clyde winters. Give respect to the elder, Clyde winters. I know somebody out there looking for me. I told you somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me. I think there's somebody out there looking for me.
We have to live on the line. We have to live on the line. I have not done wrong. I have not wrong. I have not stolen. I have not lynched. I have not told lies. I have not stolen food. I was not stolen. I have not fornicated with the fornicator. I have not caused anyone to weep. I have not dissembled. I have not transgressed. I have not discussed secrets. I have brought no lawsuits. I am not wrong. I am not struck kill. I am not transgressed the law. I have not been hunted. Except when I'm talking about on the tongue. I have not made extolling. I have not bragged. I have not cursed. I have not been violent. I have not confounded truth. I have not been impatient. I have not cursed against.
Dr. Winter's legacy is a testament to the power of knowledge and the unyielding spirit of exploration. His impact is felt worldwide, as he shares and enlightens at conferences, symposiums, and collaborative projects. His voice is a beacon in the academic world, challenging, inspiring, and always educating. His journey reminds us that the quest for knowledge is never-ending, and its impact is timeless. Dr. Winters teaches us to challenge the narratives and to learn with an open mind. As he always says, B1 is not a group, it's a lineage. Let his story inspire everybody to pursue knowledge relentlessly and to always seek the truth. Now let us welcome in the grandfather of research, the Trill OG himself, the Honorable Dr. Clyde Winter.
What up, though? What up, though? Hey, how's everybody going? How's everybody doing? What up, Yoshi Mod, Joan? You know, today I've been really discombobulated, and I'm going to tell you how you doing, Ray Wooster. You know, from the Netherlands. What up, though? You know, because I was asked a question today by Eve, and Eve asked me, who would I represent as the founding fathers? You know, that's a very hard question. Zachary Holmes, what up? You know, Yoshi Mod, you know, because thinking about Nadi, what's up? You know, when you're trying to think about this whole idea of who are the founding fathers, who would I look at it as really being the standard bearers for FBA civilization? That's a hard one. That is a very hard one. But I think I do know that we couldn't. How you doing, Sandra? I do know in a sense that it would be a little bit. I would maybe have three brothers, but I would have to make one of our standard bearers. I would have to make one. How you doing, JP? I would have to make Harriet Tubman one. You know, Harriet Tubman, she wasn't a man, but Harriet, what she's, the things she did for the for FBAs, I think is something that can never be matched in history. And I believe that Harriet Tubman is the number one person, because see, what I love about this woman is that she not only in a sense was a hero in terms of freeing people. How you doing, David Howard? She not only in a sense freed us and took a lot of people off the plantations and took them to freedom in the North. Another thing she did, another thing that Harriet Tubman did was that she was a commander. Yes, yes, yes. She had her own group of soldiers that worked with her during the Civil War. And this woman led these men into some very, how you doing, David? This woman led these men into some very important things. They really did a Confederacy. They really freed a lot, hundreds of black people from the plantations. And so I really look up to her as really in a sense one of the founders of this nation, because she was a real warrior. And I think that this is something that many people can't understand about us, And what they can't understand about us as foundational Black Americans is that we basically are prisoners of war. We basically have been engaged in warfare just about as long as our interactions with Europeans. Yes, when they first came here, originally we were the Black Aboriginals. Then in a sense they brought in the Black Irish, and they made them chattel slaves. Then eventually they brought in sub-Saharan Africans. And so because of the fact in the sense that our identity has always been an identity based upon warfare. Sadly, it is sad. It is sad that our history has been based on, in a sense, based on, fighting and based upon warfare, and I think that that's something that we have to really think about. Natty brought up something. I'm gonna have to check this out. Natty said, surprisingly, Glenn Beck made a decent video called American Black Founding Fathers. That's pretty good. I'll have to check that out, Natty, and see what he had presented. Because see, the thing is this, is that it's something that needs to be discussed. But see, we've always been engaged in this whole idea of war. When we came over here, originally our Aboriginal ancestors who lived in the United States, when Europeans came, they had to fight the Europeans. Then in a sense, over time, many of them were taken as slaves, and they were forced to be involved. Nadi says a Black man named Christmas Adams was the first person to die for America in the Revolutionary War. Yeah, he would be, but I wouldn't choose Christmas Adams, as a real writer, because as I said, I'd had to begin with one of the founding fathers of the nation. I had to begin with Harriet Tubman, because Harriet Tubman, in a sense, she would be one of the founding persons, because the fact, in a sense, is that she was about that business, Then I think you'd have to deal with maybe I'd put somebody in there, maybe like Frederick Douglass, a little bit. Frederick is an intellectual, but at the same time, I think he did a lot in the sense to encourage people. Then then we had to get a couple of Black generals in there that fought in the Civil War. Because I think in a sense that when you're thinking about in a sense your heroes, is that our heroes, you want to think about people who are good examples for our children, because see, everything is about our children. Everything is about developing within them a fighting spirit. And I think that when you look in a sense at these Black heroes, in a sense, who stood up, And a lot of them weren't just men because he also you had to look at, as I said, with Harriet Tubman. A lot of our heroes also were sisters because a lot of sisters had that warrior sisters had that spirit that they were going to fight. They were going to fight in a sense too. You know, they were going to fight. Also to make sure that we were free. And I love this whole fighting spirit. In a way, a lot of people, a lot of people from overseas, a lot of black people from the diaspora, they really can't understand foundational Black Americans because they say we're always trying to fight, we always want to be confronting the European, and a lot of people from the diaspora that come over here, Black people, they feel if they just go along, they can get along with Europeans, and we feel in the sense is that sometimes you can go along to get along, but you also have to stand up. You have to stand on something, and I think that this is what makes us a unique people. I think that that's very important. Jones talks about John Horse. John Horse is pretty good in terms of the Seminole War. But the thing is, this is that, like I said, is that it's something that I think we need to really think about. But I think John Horse, and Harriet Tubman, and Walker. I think also Walker's appeal. I think his appeal was very important. That he really tried to lay out a plan for Black people to seek success. And I think that we could maybe use those people. Let's say Harriet Tubman, maybe John Horse of the Seminoles. Let me see. Some other people there too, but it's something that I really would have to think about because I see things a little bit different, than I did in the past. Because see, our history is very complicated. Our history is complicated because the fact is that it was an ethnogenesis here. And the reason, in a sense, that we went through this ethnogenesis, Yoshima said, Dr. Clyde Winters, yeah, thank you. But again, in a sense, I think that W.B. Du Bois, he would be a good one, because you want to look at people who made a difference. I feel in the sense that I could make a difference, but I think that you want to look at those people that really touched, in a sense, and would make Du Bois an excellent founding father is because of the fact that he developed this whole idea of Pan-Africanism. He also developed this whole idea of double consciousness. Now Sandra, she feels that double consciousness is a disassociation, that double consciousness is a mental illness, and she's correct in a way. Is that it is a mental illness because the fact, in a sense, is that they put you into a situation where you're thinking outside of your body. You're trying, in a sense, to form an identity. And what makes it even more interesting is that I think that because of Claude Anderson was the first one to really, in a sense, make Black people, foundational Black Americans, begin to try to see themselves, delineate themselves as a different group, because Claude Anderson, he recognized a long time ago that because of the fact that Black immigrants, as they came over here, they would make themselves more competitive, and they would be wanting to, in a sense, be in competition with us for jobs and other things. I think that's what made this whole idea of there. So I would probably put in there, if I was going to put some heroes, I'd put maybe W.B. Du Bois, maybe Claude Anderson. Yes, Claude Anderson. I know, even though he's a recent person, I think that Claude Anderson is there, and I think that this is something important because we have to think about this. Create So Far, how you doing? Create So Far says, Dr. Clyde, the reason Wu Chun Kang had cause war like the grandson of Kush. I'm hanging devils' heads on an evergreen bush. I wonder what he was talking about, this same Kushite people. Probably. Kushites are a very important element because we remember for a whole lot of Black people, in a sense, The Kushites, they were the original people who founded Egypt, and in Egypt they went into this different thing. Nadi says a good founding father. I think this is a good choice. George Washington Carver, he's underrated. Yes, George Washington Carver, because he did a lot of things. He was not only the plant man, he developed this whole idea about organizing factories. And I think that this is something that I think is very important. Oh, thank you, Nadi. Thank you, Nadi. Nadi says Dr. Winters kind of reminds me of Paul Robeson. You may have didn't know this, Nadi, but Paul Robeson is my hero. And I had three heroes. Paul Robeson, in a sense, let me see, Paul Robeson, and I can't think of the other ones right now, but it's Paul Robeson and and some other people. It's funny how when you want to call on some people, but Paul Robeson was one of my heroes. And the thing I loved about Paul Robeson is that Paul Robeson, why I chose him as one of my idols, was the fact that Paul Robeson, he played football, like I played football, and he was a polyglot, and he was a polyglot because he spoke a lot of languages. In fact, he's best known. He's best known in a sense for his he's best known in a sense for his acting and being able to use different things, and that's what I really loved about Robeson. I also like the fact that I'm not a polyglot. I learned a lot of languages, but when I learned the languages, I didn't learn the language to really to really speak them so much. You have French, Swahili. I learned those mainly so I could be able to speak them. But many of the languages I learned, like Chinese, Tamil, Yucatec, and some other languages. I only wanted to get a reading knowledge, because I felt in the sense that I just wanted to get a reading knowledge so I could get into those secrets, because it's the secrets in a sense that allow us to be able in a sense to write history. So I had to learn a lot of languages, but I only wanted to learn them just enough to be able to read them, because the fact is this: I wanted to get to the sources back in the day. Now I got all that stuff. It's all cluttered in my head. So I had to always, whenever I'm doing research, I had to kind of refresh myself. But it's very important in the sense that you do learn languages. I think one of the things that hurt us today is that we don't have, in a sense, many of our scholars and researchers languages. W.B. Du Bois and some of the other people, they were lucky. They were lucky that when they went to school, they studied Latin, and even some of them studied Greek. When I was in high school, I think we still had Latin taught in my school, but I didn't know the significance of Latin back in the day. So back in the day when I was in high school, I wanted to learn French, because French was supposed to be the language of love, and I wanted to be able to talk to the girls, l'amour, je petit amour, amour. And so I wanted to have that. I wanted to, in a sense, be that smooth, romantic person. So I thought that French would be a good language. But again, in a sense, it's very important to understand, though, is that like Americans, we went through an ethnogenesis, and this ethnogenesis resulted from the fact that we are the result of three populations. We result of the Aboriginal blacks who were here, and then in a sense, later in a sense, they were joined on the plantations. How you doing, Rhonda? Joined on the plantation by Black Irish, and then later in a sense, Sub-Saharan Africans. And so we find in a sense that it was through this ethnic mix, this mix of various ethnic groups from three continents, Europe, the Americas, and Africa, that led to us, in a sense, going through an ethnogenesis. I think that Yoshi's made a very good video. I think that shows this ethnogenesis. This video that Yoshi made, it shows how we moved, in a sense. It shows how we moved, in a sense, from our original heritage. We moved from our Aboriginal heritage to in a sense, foundation of Black Americans today. And I think this video by Yoshi Mod is a good example of this ethnogenesis that took place.
Hello, and any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. And any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. And any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. What's it that you don't want me to say? I've been big on my listen to me. Sometimes I feel like the lane that I made. On my grandmother was in the maze. Leave me behind and left me astray. What is the truth that was going on with me? Don't make me cool and just have a nice day. Some things are just easy to say. Wish it could stop me from breathing a day. Don't have no food and they swimming on me. Out in the ocean away from the bay. I've been drifting along far away. I would have been to keep them away. Say what you say, but I just cannot stay. Force me to lane and they want me to drink. Can't do the crime, they don't suit me. Wine, unfortunately, I got my sorrow. Slipping and follow, slipping and hollow. Bring on the idol, listen to Carlo. Nothing to borrow, living to borrow. Nothing to call home, shooting a hollow. Shooting a inferno, about the carnal. Summon out your look out in the eye. All known, seeing that is a pyramid. Right, it's something good, that is affirmative. I look them as a biz, got the hook to the wrist. Till the color quiz, that's what the mission is. We are that guinea pig, music for feeling it. Tired of the silliness, no longer feeling it. Feeling we're killing it, feeling like feeling it. Swimming this message off of the shore into the abyss. Deep in, I'm in ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. Works of a genie, what a feenie. Take you to Feenie, how when they see me? Sleazy bikinis, nothing but weenies. Wearing a beanie, feeling bikini. Changing the scenery, changing the scenery. Some of your misery, so many lies on me. Probably got you on TV, believe me. Pulling your memories, killing the name. You never just admitted they got me. Machiavelli could have never been sloppy. We can see it's nothing but copy. Billy Holiday just was a body. George Clinton committed them robberies. It seems he went for the lottery. This all falls in one category. We all call it a mystery. I'm the villain of the those who all fit. Put the grass set up like Eddie Murphy. No car crash, they just hating on me. Gotta make a comeback like Bill Cosby. Kobe Bryant playing conspiracy. Get me back for taking a knee. But they just be canning me. Like in my turban, hit when I'm swerving. Black house cursing, sipping up a curving. More laceration, just donation. No motivation, straight elimination. Your animation, alienation, annihilation. All for the taking, taking like taking. Omen faking, lust impersonation. Who you saving? Change like Raven. Sammy Davis. Had to shake 'em, moving brave on. How you craving? Even Jaden save him, Taylor paving, who we faking, Harry make him misbehaving, we the brave men, before we drown in the water, got a deep dive, I'm in the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be follow, I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be follow, I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow, at any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die. Think they don't want me to stay. There's always one who justify rain. Came from the cave, came from the bay, created the slave. Step out of water, fiction is harder. Why do they bother? Over my head, first like a daughter. Same boat, same fate, only in slaughter. Still throw jet bro, same as a father. Justify life, why should it be harder? For my nation, make things water. See how they come, all as one. Force me to gun, force me to the slum. Live up the crumb, father's hung. Faces beyond, live as one. Speak for the young, nobody's dumb. Maybe just someone they young. Maverick approach, roof by Yojo. And the kind would grow, just as the Oko came off the old phone. E-I-E-I-O-E-O song. Turning the wheel until it's all gone. Gotta go deeper, dive with the people. Some turn lethal, neighbors is evil. Go from the right, give up the fight. No human right, kill them on sight. Many to spare, many beware. I see that I'm there, I see that I'm here. Ready with flash, calling all bad. All genders are here, we the illusion, not disappear. As hard as my chin, deep dive. I'm an illusion and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may be follow. I'm out the ocean and I may be hollow. At any given time, I may die dead.
You can find that on Yoshimod's page. Check him out. Support Yoshimod, the genius. He is a genius indeed. Nadia asked a random question. She said, random question, Dr. Winters, do you have an official Wikipedia page? If not, someone should make you one. No, I do not have a Wikipedia page. And over the past 10 years, people have tried to make a Wikipedia page for me, but they will not. There's an editor at Wikipedia. He has what's called Rational Wiki. And he doesn't, in a sense, want me to have a Wikipedia page because he says I'm the number one racist in and black supremacist in the United States. And so, since he believes I'm the number one racist and black supremacist, he's made a point. And so you could try to do a Wikipedia page, but they're not gonna. He's not gonna let it stand. He's gonna get rid of any Wikipedia page that anyone tries to make related research. But if you notice, they've got everybody there but me. And one of the reasons is you have to understand that I've only been making live videos the past 3, maybe 4 years. But prior to that, I've got over 300 videos on my YouTube page, and these videos cover every aspect of Black history. So I'm a very well known advocate of Black history. And so Europeans, in a sense, many Europeans, they hate me because of the fact that I can bring receipts. I can show receipts from my research, And because I can show receipts from my research, they don't like that. They don't like the fact. And so that's why they don't really want to allow me to, they don't really want a Wikipedia page that, about me. But, you could try. But again, in a sense, they usually knock them down, And and so that's one of the things. But again, Yoshimod, you can check the Gumroad. He made a very beautiful song that he sent me today. I wish I could play it, but he doesn't want it out. And it is a very good song. But again, in a sense, is that Yoshi is always Yoshimod is always there. Create So Far says the number one racist? No. Sounds like the psychological defense mechanism called reaction formation. You see it constantly in videos that reveal the truth about them and us. True, that's true. But you have to understand, in a sense, is that when you've been a YouTube warrior for as many years as I have, and you've had some of the great, some of the greatest so-called debunk people, in the history of white supremacy, trying to debunk my research, and when you've defeated them all, it's kind of hard. It's kind of really hard in a sense because see, they don't really, in a sense, like that whole idea. I mean, Gerald Horn, I think he does a lot of research that relates to black studies, foundational American history. And I think he's the only person I think that can match me in books. He has about 40, I got 50. But the thing is that you have to understand that Europeans do not like to be challenged. And they don't like, in a sense, to be challenged by someone who knows what they're doing. You see, because they're so used to people that make claims that they can't support. I don't make any claim that I can't support, you see. And so then therefore, in a sense, it's kind of scary for them because they have no history. And because they have no history, then therefore, in a sense, they have to piggyback on other people's history. And so then, since I've taken away the Sumerians, the Egyptians, the Elamites, even the ancient Chinese, then who can they piggyback on? Who can they claim, in a sense, to be representatives of their great history? Yeah, maybe the Greco-Romans. Greco-Romans were good, but we know, in a sense, that in the beginning they were mainly blacks too. But again, in a sense, it scares people. It is very scary. It is very scary in a sense when you don't have a way to really put yourself into a position where you can really be a standard bearer. But anyway, I'm going to get into today's discussion. I'm going to talk about the Kushites, and I hope that you'll enjoy it. So let's get started. Okay, so we're going to do the Kushite origin of Egypt, and let's get it started. You can go to my Patreon to see the slides. Please join my Patreon. My Patreon members, they support my research. They're the ones who allow me to be able to do much of the research that I do. Because much of my research is dependent upon trying to get the latest information. Because I spend a lot of my time trying to get the latest information, I often have to go and buy new books. I might have to buy a new book that's just come out. I have to sometimes try to read articles. And many of these articles are behind paywalls. And because these articles are behind paywalls, that means in a sense that what I have to do is I have to be able to go and get these articles. And so my Patreon members, they allow me to have the financial support to be able to get these articles behind paywalls or buy new books. You can look at my videos on YouTube. I have over 400 videos, almost 400 videos on YouTube. Around 350 of those videos strictly deal with the history of Black people on every continent in the world. So don't just come and look at my live presentations. Also come back and visit this site and look at some of my videos on every aspect of Black history. Anything that you want to know about Black history, you can see it here on my YouTube channel. So please support my YouTube channel. Come back, look at some of the videos I've already made, and don't just stay here for the lives. You can order my books at Amazon.com. Let the researcher do the research. Yes, let the researcher do the research. If you want to become a good researcher, I've written 2 books that can help you to become an excellent researcher. One of the books is Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir. In my memoir, I talk about how I became an Afrocentric researcher. I talk about my trials and tribulations as a foundational Black American scholar. But I tell you the way and the methods that I became a researcher. And I think the book is very important because, see, I didn't have anybody that I could really study under. I didn't have any example of an Afrocentric researcher, except for maybe the work of Du Bois. Du Bois wrote the book, The Negro, and another book called Africa. But it was in these books that he provided a survey of the history of Black people from ancient times up until the present. And so then I had to develop a method, I had to develop a way to study our history. And so when you read my book, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir, this book will help show you how to be a researcher, how I became an Afrocentric researcher, and kind of also tells you the pitfalls and also the elation that you can get from doing this research. But it also makes it clear in the sense that there's a way that you do the research, but often when you're an Afrocentric researcher, you can't always expect to get good monetary rewards. And in addition, you can't always expect that people are going to appreciate what you're doing, because many people do not, in a sense, appreciate you doing research from an Afrocentric perspective. And sometimes, in a sense, people can even, not really give you the support. But luckily, in a sense, I've found a lot of supporters out there. And my book, Pathfinder, can help you to become a researcher. Another book I've written is Afrocentric Researcher. And the Afrocentric Researcher is based on my research course that I teach, and that I've had many students take over the years, And in this particular research, in my research course, I use the Afrocentric Researcher, a guide to study social science research methods, as the book, as the text for the course, and it'll explain to you how you can do research, how you can become a competent researcher, how you can become what's called a pluridisciplinarian. And a pluridisciplinarian is someone, in a sense, who masters not just the historical research field, but also, various social science fields like linguistics, anthropology, history. So this book can show you that. So get my books, Pathfinder, Clyde Winters in Search of the Roots of Afrocentrism, a memoir, and Afrocentric Researcher. These books can help you to become researchers and do the real research that can relate to our Afrocentric past. Other books that I've written on that relate to Afrocentric history is Ancient African History Primer. That book discusses the African history. Then my book, The World History of the Black Race. This is a survey book. And in this survey text, I discuss every Black civilization that ever existed on every continent. So The World History of the Black Race, that's a good survey book that you can get. Nile Valley History in the Rig Veda. In this book, I discuss, in a sense, the writings from India, from the Rig Veda, the Mahabharata, the Ramayana, that relate not to India. No. These Indian texts do not relate to India. They relate to the Nile Valley. And I think that if you get this book, Nile Valley History in the Rig Veda, you'll be surprised to see how the history of Black people in Africa and the history of Black people in India are one. And then my book, The Kushites, Who, What, When, Where, that's the only book that you're going to find that relate to the Kushite people, the history of the Kushite people. You're not going to find any other text that discuss the various Kushite nations. Get that book, The Kushites, Who, What, When, Where, and it can help you, in a sense, to understand the various Kushite nations that formerly existed. What is FBA? FBA is not a group. FBA is not an organization. FBA is a lineage. A lineage is lineal descent from an ancestry or pedigree. FBA have went through an ethnogenesis. As a result, we are descendants of the African, Black European, and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. Yes. We went through an ethnogenesis. As a result, we are descendants of the African, Black European, and Aboriginal Blacks who built the United States. You see, this ethnogenesis, how we, in a sense, have our Aboriginal past, our European, and then our Sub-Saharan African past. This is what's represented by these figures, And I discuss how this ethnogenesis took place in my book, The Nationality and Law of Foundational Black Americans. If you want to understand how this ethnogenesis took place, how we moved from being the copper-colored Black Aboriginals into the colored people, then the Negro people, and now foundational Black Americans, read my book, The Nationality and Law of Foundational Black Americans. It explains our ethnogenesis, the ethnogenesis that took place here in America that developed who we are today as a people, in fact, as a nation. B1 is acknowledging your Black African ancestry and not heritage. We must be race men and women proud of our culture and African Black ancestry. Because see, when you really look up the word black, before they added the K, when you look at the word Black, you find the sense that Black equals brilliant. Yes. Black, in a sense, equals brilliant because, see, Black always was represented by embers, by the fact, in the sense that it was the embers, it was the burning in a sense of wood, the burning of various combustible things that led, in a sense, to illumination, that led to brightness. So in reality, in many languages, Black not only means, in a sense, this color, but it also means being brilliant, being bright and shiny. So when you're B1, you're Black first. When you're B1, you're brilliant first. B1. Some people say, why, Dr. Winters, do you place this emphasis on B1? The reason I place this emphasis on B1 It's because of the fact that it's black first that gives us a Pan-Africanist attitude. Yeah, I know a lot of people say run away from Pan-Africanism. I'm not really, in a sense, trying to say to be a Pan-Africanist. What I'm saying is that when you say you're B1, that keeps down, in a sense, some of the conflict, because see, much of the conflict that's caused black people to be in the situation they are in today, how we lost our land, is because of the fact, in a sense, we weren't unified as a people. The Aboriginal black people, Black Cherokee, Cree, Yamasee, often instead of being unified, they fought each other. And then the white man, in a sense, would allow the various black nationality, black Indian Aboriginals fight each other. And then when they would weaken their tribe, then the white man would come and conquer both of the tribes, you see? And that's how the white man took over America. He took over America because we were so nationalistic. We always put our nation so in front of us that because we put our nations in front of us, it allowed us, in a sense, to be narrow-minded. We were narrow-minded, feeling that we should try to keep the other black people down, while whites came in and they took over the country. That's how they took over America. That's how they took over Africa, because they had us fight among each other, and in a sense, then they would take the spoils. We had to move away from that. And so that's what B1 does. By saying that you're black, you're not only brilliant. By saying you're B1, you're brilliant first. And it's through being B1 that allows us to be unified. It allows us to be from whatever nation or nationality we want to say we belong to. Cree, Yamasee, Catholic, Moor, Muslim, Hebrew. It doesn't matter. But if you say you're B1, you're black first, and then black, in a sense, supersedes all of those other identities, and it allows us to come and be unified, and it allows us to have a true and everlasting, in a sense, unity that can give us peace and prosperity. Critical race theory. Critical race theory is a theory that was created by white supremacists in which they always win. Yes, it's a race in which they always win. We're running in this race, Critical race theory simply says that white people hate you. Number two, that white people want to kill you. And number three, they created a race in which they can always win. Yes. That's why when black people, in a sense, when black people began to think that they're just as good as white people, that's the end of that black person. You're probably saying, what are you talking about, Dr. Winters? Why would it be the end of you as a black individual if you claim you're just as good as whites? You lose, because when you say you're just as good as whites, then you're lost, because white people do not believe you're just as good as them. They believe you're better than them. That's why they had to, in a sense, create they had to create, in a sense, racism. They had to create a race in which they're going to win. They had to create a race in which their privilege, their whiteness, would allow them to be in a superior position to you. See? And so then therefore you lose when you think you're as good as them. You have to remember, they think you're better than them. And because they think you're better than them, you have to have that attitude that you're going to be the best. And by being the best, then you win. But by believing that you're just as good as them, you lose. Because see, they don't think you're just as good as them. They think you're superior to them, or they wouldn't have this whole system of racism, which allows them to have privilege because they're white. We're going to talk about the Kushites, and if you want to learn more about the Kushites, get my book, The Kushites, Who, What, When, Where, Now Valley History in the Rig Veda, and Common Core Standards, in Kushite history. Get these three books if you want to learn more about Kushite history. You can also get my books, Before Egypt, The Ma Confederation, Africa's First Civilization. In this book, I talk about the Ma civilization, the first civilization that existed during the Green Sahara, 10,000 to 5,000 years ago. And then in my book, Egyptian Language, The Mountains of the Moon, Niger-Congo Speakers, and the Origin of Egypt, I explain how many of the languages in West Africa relate to ancient Egyptian. And the reason that they relate to ancient Egyptian is that in this book, Egyptian Language, I explained that Egypt was, in a sense, not a monolithic nation. That, in a sense, Egypt was a confederacy. Each of the Sipats, each of, I think it was the 46 Sipats, or different 46 civil states that were part of Egypt, ancient Egypt or Kemet. That each one of these they had different gods, and they probably spoke a different language. And as a result, Egyptian is a lingua franca. Yes, Metanetra is a lingua franca. It's a language, in a sense, that was used to unify the people of Egypt. And that's why in my book, The Egyptian Language, I show you how Metanetra is related to many of the languages spoken in West Africa today. So if you want to learn more about ancient Egypt, the relationship between ancient Egypt and West Africa, get my book, Egyptian Language, The Mountains and the Moon, Niger-Congo Speakers and the Origin of Egypt. These are the various Kushite kings. Issy or Kushites ruled ancient Egypt beginning with Taseti. And during the first intermediate period, dynasties 13th through 15th, and the 15th dynasty. Yes. These were periods in which Kushites ruled ancient Egypt. Often we hear about the Hyksos, and we believe, and they teach you that the Hyksos were Jews or Hebrews, or that they were some Asian. No. The Hyksos were not, in a sense, an Asian nationality. They were Black African people, and Hyksos was just another name for Kush or Kushites. There's epigraphic evidence that indicates that Narmer was probably a Kushite. Narmer ruled an area extending from the Nile Valley into the Levant. This is supposed to be in a picture of Narmer. I mean, this is supposed to be in a sculpture of Narmer. The Kushites were called Haks in African Levant. Kushites had early settled in the Levant since Narmer times. We find Narmer's name on jobs and syrinx from excavations in Israel and Palestine. For example, you can find some of these artifacts at Tel Irani, Arad, In Bisur, Halif Terrace, Nahaltila, and more. A bulla dating to this period makes it clear that this part of the Negev was called Hakst or Hakstia. This is you can see the Nahaltila bulla, and on here you can see these characters. And if you look at this inscription on the left-hand side at the bottom, this, in a sense, is the word for hush. And this was also the name, in a sense, for Lower Egypt. Yes. Lower Egypt is where Narmer came from, even though he conquered he conquered, in a sense, Upper Egypt. Then he came back up and conquered Lower Egypt, and then went all the way to Mesopotamia. These rules were called Hecker House. The presence of this bull indicates that this area was called Hux, or Kush. Since Narmer was from Lower Egypt, explains why they called themselves Hux. The modern interpretation of Gardner's sign in 25 is Kusht is wrong. There's no evidence that the T would be added to husht. As a result, I believe N25 is hus, kas, hast. This is the Narmer palette, and as you can see, it has many elements related to the ancient Egyptian ruler on Narmer. And you can see these various parts, like you can see the head of the goddess Vat. See Narmer with the sandal bearer who was in front of him, and all of these elements, in a sense, relate back to the various Egyptian aspects of Egyptian civilization and culture. Is Narmer Nimrod? Could Narmer be Nimrod? I know in the Bible they talk about Nimrod, but could Narmer be Nimrod? I think so, because let's look at it. That many of the ancient languages, often they did the vowel when they wrote the names of people. So if we look at Narmer and Nimrod, what do we see? We see that in the name Narmer, we see the consonants N, M, and R. In Nimrod, we see the consonants N, MR, and D. So, this is very important because now we know that Narmer was a Kushite. He was probably a great hunter, as indicated by the two dog palette, Narmerud, an area extending from the Nile Valley into Mesopotamia. This explains why we read in the Bible, Cush fathered Nimrod. He was the first on earth to be a mighty man or a mighty warrior. And then we can see in the sense that if you look at the palette at the top, we see the two characters, the dogs, and we see in a sense that relationship. In Genesis 10, 8 through 12, we read, Cush was the father of Nimrod, who became a mighty warrior on the earth. He was a mighty hunter before the Lord. That is why it is said, like Nimrod, a mighty. The first centers of his kingdom were Babylon, Uruk, Akkad, and Calneh in Shinar. From that land he went to Assyria, where he built Nineveh, Rehoboth, and Calah, and Rezin, which is between Nineveh and Calah, which is the great city. Yes. So in Genesis, we read about Namar or Nimrod and his greatness and how he built the civilization. And we know from the inscriptions that we found in the Levant that he was a Kushite. Yes, a Kushite. I know that many of you who've only read, in a sense, what Europeans write, you say, what is Dr. Winters talking about? We don't know about Kushites until the 18th dynasty. That's because you only pay attention to what Europeans do. You have to do the research yourself. You have to take the time to do the research, and don't just take everything that Europeans tell you about in a sense, ancient Kemet or Meta Nature as totally the truth. Some of it is just propaganda. Some of it, in a sense, is to lead you down a path which will lead you nowhere. Narmer was a Kushite. Yes, he was a Kushite. The presence of Narmer's Hust or Bula indicates that since the Levant was called Hust or Kush, since Narmer ruled the area, he was probably a Kushite. You see, very important to keep in mind. This is why when we look in a sense at the Narmer palette, this is what we see. We see Narmer's name at the top. We see him holding a mace. And through Egyptian history, kings were shown smiting their enemies with a mace, just like in this particular thing. We see Horus. This was a symbol of the king. We see the 6 papyrus plants. And the 6 papyrus plants, that's the general symbol of Lower Egypt. Or perhaps it symbolizes the defeating of 6,000 people in the Delta, And so then again, in a sense, we see the enemy, he's grabbed his hair and he's about to hit him with a club. Okay, if you look on the left-hand side, you can see first at the top, you see a map of the Levant, you see many other centers, and many of these cities is where they found, in a sense, they found various inscriptions that relate with Narmer. These are some on the right-hand side. These are some of the inscriptions that they found in the Levant that relate to Narmer. So we can see, in a sense, that Narmer had a great presence, Mesopotamia, all the way, in a sense, from the Levant up into Turkey. And we also, in a sense, see that he was a mighty warrior, and not just a mighty warrior, but he left his imprint and he made it known throughout the land and his presence that he was a Husk. Here again, in a sense, is the Narmer palette. You can see his name. You can see Narmer with the sandal bearer behind him, wearing the red crown. Here you can see him with the red crown of Egypt. You can see the priest wearing the leopard skin, following 4 divine standards. You can see the boat preceded by the shallow and coin. And so let's take a look at this particular. This is also part of the Narmer palette, and you can see many of these symbols that relate to Narmer. Why don't you take a look at that for a minute? We also, in a sense, we can see these are some more examples of the various of the figures on the palette. We can see the mace poles, This goes back 3,000 years. The sandal bearer. We see the falcon with the human arm. To represent in a sense. Holding up the Egyptian Lower Egypt. We see the foe being smited. So again, this is a very important document, and this palette, in a sense, provides us with the history. Yes, a history of the Lower Egyptians and Narmer as he expanded his empire into Levant. The Kushites, beginning with Narmer, early colonized the Levant and the rest of Eurasia. The Kushites were called Hast in Lower Egypt and the Levant. Kushites had settled in the Levant since Narmer times. We find Narmer's name on jars and syrinx from throughout much of the Levant. Again, in a sense, we see the various cities in the Levant on the right-hand side, and we see the Bula, in which we see Hast. Again, if you want to find out more about the Kushites, don't forget, get my books, Ancient African History Primer, The World History of the Black Race, Nile Valley History of the Veda, and of course, the only book that you're going to find that deals with the Kushites is my book, The Kushites, Who, What, When, and Where. Get these books, and you can find out, and you'll really understand much about Kushite history. The Hyksos were not Asians. They were Kushites from Lower Egypt. They've told you that the Hyksos, these were the Hyksos, in a sense, were Asiatics, that these were Hebrew people. No, the Hyksos, they were the first Kushite dynasty of Egypt, was called Hyksos. See? But you've been taught by Europeans that the Hyksos, that these, in a sense, were some type of some non-African people, some people that came from the Middle East, maybe the first Jews, the first Hebrews. No, they were Hyksos. Just refers, in a sense, to the people who lived in Lower Egypt, who go back to Hyksos, which was, in a sense, what Narmer called the Levant, and Lower Egypt he called it Hyksos. Recent research on the people of Lower Egypt make it clear that the Hyksos were not invaders of Egypt, as claimed by Anti-Diop and other researchers. The textual evidence from Hyksos documents make it clear that they consider themselves Kushites. Yes, Kushites. The Kushites were horsemen, as indicated by the horse found at Buhin and the chariot riding found in Africa. Research by C. Stantis and H. Chukowski in a paper presented at the 88th Annual Meeting of the American Association of Physical Anthropologists in 2019, in their paper Migration into Egypt During the Second Intermediate Period, observed that the ruling class may have been foreign, but the local people were native to Lower Egypt during the Hyksos period at Tel el-Daba, Avaris, Tel el-Rotaba, and Tel el-Mushhauta, and other parts of the Delta or Temek. Yes, Lower Egypt or the Delta region was called Temek in the Egyptian language, you see. But they called their own land Hyksos, all the way back to Narmer's time, as I pointed out earlier in this presentation. It does not matter if Camus called the Hyksos Amu. The Hyksos rulers refer to themselves as Heka, ruler, and Heka Hasut, or rulers of the Kasut, which would really not mean ruler of the foreigners, but ruler of the Kushites, like Narmer in the Bula from the Levant and the Egyptian text from Avaris. Kings like Apophis made it clear that they were rulers of Kushites, Hakahasut. Egyptian Has corresponds to Kashkas or Kashka, the name for the Hadeans. The Egyptian term Hasut has three different elements: the ethnonym Has, Kush, plus the U, which was the Egyptian plural marker, while the Egyptian T was a suffix that signified land or people. The Hakst. That meant, in a sense, the Kushite people, the people of the land of Kush. The presence of this bull indicates that since the area was called Hyksos or Kush, since Narmer ruled the area, the modern interpretation of Gardner's Egyptian sign N25 is Hyksos. is wrong. There's no evidence. Here we can see, here's an inscription that we can look at, Khanum-Hotep II inscription, where we see, in a sense, Haka Hasut, or the Kush for the king, for the Kushite king Abishari, See. So we can see this in this particular name. Writing just Haka means Has, means Kushite, while adding 3 lines makes the plural Kushite. Thusly, on the Simkin scarab, we have Simkin, king of the Kushites. On the Khanum-Hotep II bin Hassan inscription, we have Hakahast in the form of the lead Haxus above the Nubian ibis and the name Abishari between the Hakahast. So you can look in here, you can see the Kushite, the name of the Kushite king, Abishari on the right hand side. And then you can see how in the Sikwin, if you look at this scarab, you can see, in a sense, where we see the sign, sign of the crook, Heka Kasut. You see that, Heka Kasut? Then, in a sense, we see the 3 lines up under it in the Sekim, and that means, in the sense, of the Kushites. So we see Heka Kasut, or of the Kushites. Here we can see Heka Kasut. Heka, we see, in a sense, the crook. That's Heka, means rulers or king. Has, Heka House. And so this is how we see it. And then, if you notice, in a sense, the Nahotel Abula, we can see Hawks. We can see the Hawkstone, but we don't see the Heka. And we can see how, in a sense, how the later sign of N25, which is the 3 mountain areas, we see, in a sense, that on the Nahal Telabula, we see, in a sense, that there's a number of these mountain regions, and these signs, in a sense, are interpreted by researchers as Hast, or Kush. So the lower Egyptian kings often referred to themselves as Heka Hast. By 3300 to 3500 BC, the A group people of Tasseti had established the first monarchy in human history. Artifacts recently discovered in the Kustal tomb near the Sudanese border show various symbols of Tasseti royalty. Yes, Tasseti means the land of the bow. Originally, Tasseti, in a sense, was considered or taught. They were taught as it was one of the first Kushite nations. But at the same time, we find that Tasseti became, over time, the first nome of ancient Kemet. So we see, in a sense, how the people of Kemet moved from using the term Kushite to, in a sense, Kemetian. They moved, in a sense, but I think it's because of the fact that when we really look at it, I think that what we find is that probably they were also called Nehesi, and I think it has something to do with the fact that when they referred to themselves as the Kemetians or the blacks, they referred to the fact that black does not just mean, in a sense, an additive or a color, but it also means, in a sense, brilliant. So when the Egyptians would call themselves Kemetians, they would call themselves the brilliant people, the bright people, the illuminated people, or the people, in a sense, of illumination. This is the Kustal incense burner. And this Kustal incense burner is the earliest evidence, of the rise of the Egyptian nation. On a stone incense burner from Kustal, we see depicted a palace facade. See, we're going from left to right. We see a palace facade. We see a crowned king sitting on a throne in a boat. We see a royal standard stood before the king, and hovering above him is the falcon god Horus. The crown was later the crown worn by the upper Egyptian kings. We can also see bound prisoners. If you look at it right after we see the palace facade, moving from left to right, we see the boat, and then we see a prisoner that is being, in a sense, whose hand tied behind his back. This indicates that he was a prisoner. You see. Then we can see, in a sense, the king sitting on the throne, and then we see the falcon god. And so this is what makes the Kustel artifact so important in terms of understanding the rise of ancient Egypt, Kemet, from its Kushite origins. This is evidence of kingship in ancient Kush. These symbols were later used by Egyptian kings to demonstrate kingship. The palace facade, we see the prisoner on the boat, then we see the king sitting on the throne, and then we can see, in a sense, the other artifacts that relate to the rise of kingship. The Kustel incense burn indicates that the unification of Nubia preceded that the Tasseti had a rich culture at Kustal. Kustal Cemetery 1 had tombs that equaled or exceeded Kemite tombs of the first dynasty of Egypt. The A group people were called Stu, bowmen. This shows that the Stu people used symbols that later became Egyptian writing. The Stu had the same funeral customs, pottery, musical instruments, and related artifacts of the Egyptians. Williams, who discussed the Kustel artifact, believes that the Kustel pharaohs are the Egyptian rulers referred to as the red crown rulers in ancient Egyptian documents. Dr. Williams and the Stu of Kustel founded Egyptian or Kemite civilization. Reason number one, the direct progression of world complex designs from Kustal to Hierakonpolis. 2, Egyptian objects in Nakada. 3, tombs. 3, no royal tombs in Lower and Upper Egypt. 4, pharaonic monuments that refer to conflict in Upper Egypt. 5, inscriptions of the ruler Pehor are older than Irihor of Abydos. And 6, the 10 rulers of Kustal, 1 at Hierakonpolis and 3 at Abydos, correspond to the historical kings of the Nakada period. Yes. You had to understand, in the sense that Egyptian history is very old, very, very old. The finds of Williams support the find of Diop, that, and I quote, "We also understand better now why the Egyptian term designating royalty etymologically means the man who comes from the south, Niswit, who belongs to the south, who is a native of the south, the king of Lower Egypt, and has never meant just king. In other words, the king of Lower and Upper Egypt, king of all Egypt. But again, in a sense, is Niswat, or he who comes from the south." The pre-Egyptian kings ruled from Hierakonpolis. During the time Egypt wasn't a unified country, it certainly wasn't as large as modern Egypt. Upper Egypt probably stopped around Aswan. Rulers of individual areas were regional kings, some rulers from the north and others from cities in the south, such as, the first 9 to 13 kings ruling at Hierakonpolis in Upper Egypt. Only the last 4 are known. There's a series of mostly unknown kings at the beginning of the dynasty who are known only from a single name inscription. They include Nahor, Hathor, and Pehor, among others. One of the second oldest inscriptions in the Proto-Saharan script comes from Gebel Sheikh Suleiman in Nubia. And we can see, in a sense, if you look at the right-hand side, you can see the Gebel Sheikh Suleiman inscription. And on the left-hand side, we see a drawing of the Gebel Sheikh inscription. It's related to a fresco from tomb 100 at Hierakonpolis, and it corresponds to the prehistoric period of Egypt. Okay, here you can see another statue. You can see, in a sense, this ancient scene from Hierakonpolis to show how the ancient Egyptian civilization was. You can see some people fighting, some people that are just lounging around. We can see the boats. So again, in a sense, this is a depiction of the early history of ancient Kemet. The Kustel burner and Gebel Sheikh stela are very interesting. On the Kustel burner, we see the kneeling prisoner, and we also see a prisoner on the Gebel Sheikh Suleiman. In the Kustel burner, we see the kneeling prisoner on the boat, hands tied behind his back, and then on the Gebel Sheikh Suleiman, we can see the person bound by the stew on that document. So there's a very close relationship between the Kustel burner and the Gebel Sheikh stellar. From left to right on this relief, we see a falcon on a sharik sign surmounting a house or palace. In front of the palace scene, we see a prisoner bound by the stew bowl, the sign for the stew. Facing the prisoner bound by the stew bowl, the sign for the stew. Facing the prisoner bound by the stew sign, we see a bird over a circle with the letter X inside. Beside this scene, we have another bird sitting atop the letter X within the circle sign, facing a victorious battle scene, which includes a man bound to a sacred bark or boat. So you can look over on the left-hand side, you can see the figure from the Kushite burner. You see the Gibel Sheikh Suleiman inscription, and you can see how although these are two different inscriptions, you can see how there's a relationship that goes back to this ancient period. Facing the prisoner bound by the stew sign, we see a bird over a circle with the letter X inside. Besides this scene, we have another bird sitting atop the letter X within the circle sign, facing a victorious battle scene, which includes a man bound to a sacred bark. As you can see, this is from the original inscription. Besides this scene, we have another bird sitting atop the letter X within the circle sign, facing the victorious battle scene. Over the sacred bark, we find 21 Proto-Saharan or Thinite signs. These signs agree with the Thinite pottery symbols. This is the so-called Thinite script, and the ancient Thinite script was invented by the Anu people, and the Anu people, they invented this writing. They used it as prehistoric. They used it in prehistoric period between 10,000 and 3,000 BC. That's right. 10,000 and 3,000 BC, the Anu had used this script that I call Proto-Saharan. Here you can see the inscription, and you can see the Proto-Saharan letters. You can see the bound prisoner. You can see the bird over the circle with the X. Related to this particular inscription. The Gibel Sheikh Suleiman inscription is an obituary written about a king called Fay. As noted above, Hamburger found that the Manding language are closely related to the Coptic language. Using the Manding language, we can read the Gibel Sheikh Suleiman inscription. The Manding language was used as a lingua franca by the Ma and Su dynasties. Yes. The Ma and Su dynasties used the Manding language as a lingua franca. Even though the Mandi people today use this language, I think that this language was the original lingua franca people who had ruled the world from 10,000 BC down to around 3,000 BC when they were conquered by Narmer. Reading from right to left, we read, the signs read 1, Kabalu, Fekyendi, Kailu, Fefetu, Beyusu, Susutu, Suselube, Pobe, Tu. Now the translation is this. Thou family habitation, hold it upright. Fay's estate is on the shore of the watercourse. Cut thou sepulchre habitation for the family there. Fay preferred to be obedient to the order. Lay low the celebrity in the large hemisphere tomb and offer up libations that merit upright virtue. Pure righteousness is King Fay. King Fay of Gibel Sheikh Suleiman may relate to Pharaoh Pehor. Yes. King Fay of Gibel Sheikh Suleiman may relate to Pharaoh Pehor, the thorn of Horus, since in African languages, F and P are often interchangeable. It is interesting to note that there's an inscription on a storage jar from Cemetery L of Kustal, Nubia, that reads Pehor. This Pehor may be the Fay of the Gibel Sheikh Suleiman inscription. This is so fantastic in the sense that we can see that the history was written. The history is there in front of our face, but you have to pay close attention to this history. Europeans failed to see the unity between Egyptian and African civilizations because the fact is that they want to separate Egypt from Africa. They want to make it appear that they were white. No, they were not white. They were not Caucasians. The Egyptians were black. That's why they call themselves the Kamiyu, the black people. Pehor was the provincial name of the first known pre-dynastic Egyptian ruler. Some researchers dispute his existence, but this Gebel Sheikh inscription proves that Pehor existed. Yes, yes, yes. This inscription proves that Pehor did exist, you see. Only in the inscription he was referred to as Pehor. Very interesting. It is so much. But see, we have to go and you have to check the documents, people. You have to do the research. You can't just accept everything that Europeans tell you. You have to do the research sometimes yourself so that you can find out what may be the truth. You know, if you want to find out more about African writing systems, get my book, African Origin of World Writing Systems. In this book, I show how the first writing systems appeared in Africa by Africans. In my book, The Dawn of Writing, Decipherment of the Thinite Dispilo Tablet and Gobekli Tepe. Pillars, yes, 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 yes. The people, the Anu people, they invented, in a sense, the Thinite script that these inscriptions were written in by these early kings of Egypt. And these early kings of Kemet, instead of writing hieroglyphics, they wrote in a syllabary that is called Thinite, you see. If you want to find out more about this writing system, get my book, The African Origin of World Writing Systems, and my book, The Dawn of Writing, Decipherment of the Thinite Dispilo Tablet and Gobekli Tepe Pillars, and you'll understand, in a sense, this writing that goes back to 10th C, but was used by the Anu people all the way up, yes, all the way up until around, 3000, 3200 BC, and even some of the early Egyptians wrote in the Thinite script for a while. Tasseti is recognized as the first nome of Upper Egypt. The artifacts associated with the Tasseti indicate that the people made fine pottery and possessed boats they used for purposes of communication. You can see one of their pots. You can see some of their beads. Dr. Williams on Stu Founding of Egypt said, one, the direct progression of the complex design from Kustal to Heracompolis to Abydos, the Egyptian objects found in Nakada, 3 tombs, the royal tombs found in Upper Egypt, only at Kustal, the inscriptions, all this relate back to Pehor, and the inscription that I just found, that relates to Pehor shows, in a sense, that Pehor or Fehor did exist. This is very important. Again, this is another example of the, they call, in a sense, many of the founders of civilization in Kemet, they referred to some of them as the Sea Group people. And the Sea Group people, they had their own civilization. It was characterized by the use of Thinite writing, and they had red and black pottery. In summary, Temek means Lower Egypt. Since Temek was a name for Lower Egypt in addition to Libya, makes it clear that Kushites on the Hissi did not live only in Nubia, but also Lower Egypt and Libya. Very important to understand. The Hissi was the name, in the sense that the Egyptians called the Kushites down in Kush. But we also find, in a sense, that Temek or Lower Egypt was also considered a center of Kushite civilization. Yes, yes. The people in Lower Egypt were Kushites. They only called themselves Hust. The Kushites lived in Wawet, Yam, Tasseti, etc. in Lower Egypt since Namar's day, as proven by the term Hust, or the Nahal Telabula, Una Winnie inscription, and the Hox's king seals and scarabs. This is King Apepi or Apophis. You can see some of the various, you see, in a sense, we move from left to right. We can see the Bula of King Namar. Then we can see how in a sense, Hekahas was written in the Winnie inscription, and we can move over to the second omelet. And then we see also, in a sense, the whole idea of Hakak Hasut, in the various Egyptian inscriptions. and from the Lower Egyptian inscriptions. So we see this movement and how these people were Kushites. Thank you, and I hope you join the presentation. These slides, they're going to be in my Patreon, so you can go to join my Patreon to see the slides. You can find me on Twitter at Dr. Clyde Winters 8. Again, you're on my YouTube channel, and this is Clyde Winters YouTube videos. Check them out. As I said before, don't just check out my lives. Also, look at some of my earlier videos. You can order my books on Amazon.com. Books to learn more about Kushite history include The Kushites, Who, What, When, Where, Nile Valley History and the Rig Veda, and Using Common Core Standards to Teach Kushite History. Get these books if you want to learn more about the history of the Kushites. If you want to learn more about the various writing systems in ancient Africa, get my book, The African Origin of World Writing Systems, and my book, The Dawn of Writing, Decipherment of the Thinite and Dispello Tablets, and the Gobekli Tepe. I know you guys have heard of Gobekli Tepe up in Turkey. I show how in this book, The Dawn of Writing, I show how Gobekli Tepe, it was founded by the Anu people, the people today who we recognize as the so-called Pygmy people, which or the Twa people of the Congo. These people, these Anu, formerly ruled the whole world for almost 7,000 years. Get my books if you want to find out about early pre-Egyptian civilizations. Get my book, Before Egypt, the Ma Confederation, Africa's First Civilization. And if you want to learn about the relationship between the ancient Egyptian language and the various languages spoken in West Africa, get my book, Egyptian Language, The Mountains of the Moon, and the Niger-Congo Speakers. Get this book if you want to find out more about this relationship. But always be B1. Thank you for joining me for this presentation, and always be B1. Thank you. Okay. If you guys have any questions, you can ask them now. JP wrote, thank you, JP. Great lecture. Thank you, Dr. Winters. I'm reading your book of Australia and Melanesian. I love it. Oh, yes. I love your book too, JP. The other day, I tried to show that JP wrote a new book on the spirituality of ancient Black civilizations. Check out JP books because they're informative and very interesting. And I'm so proud of I'm proud of any member of the family who writes these books. Let me know. If you write a book, let me know. I'm going to publicize on my channel because I want everybody to see the great work that the family is doing, And, JP's book is very, very informative. I talked about it the other day on my show with Yoshimad and also Eve. So, check out her books. Okay. But if you want to find out more about the Black Aboriginals, get my book, Culture and History of the Black Aboriginals. Hey, I've just written a new book, History and Culture of the Black Aboriginals of America. Yes, I've written a new book. This book is called History and Culture of Afro-Americans. It's about the Aboriginal Americans. It's about the first people who inhabited America. Many people don't know about our great culture, this super culture that we created, but I discussed this book. In 489 pages, you'll find out so much information, great information, about, in a sense, what the Aboriginal foundational Black Americans did. You're going to see, in a sense, that Black people contributed much here. When the first Europeans got here, that's what they found. Yes, they found Black Aboriginals inhabiting the Americas. It was the Black Aboriginals that built this country. This is why you had to get my book. Get my book, History and Culture of the Aboriginal Blacks of the Americas. In this book, you will find out the truth. You will know what we created. You will know who we are. Get this book. Buy it now. Yoshimar the genius. He's really contributed a lot to help me in terms of some of the things that I do. He's made a great video, and I think that that if you need somebody to make your website much more beautiful. I know he did the cover for JP's books. He did the cover he did the cover for my for the book I just discussed. Go to Yoshimai, go to Gumroad, support this brother. Let him help you to make your website, make whatever you're trying to do important. He can make videos for you. He can write the videos, he can do the music. Support Yoshimai production. Again, Yoshimod even made the introduction to my program. Support Yoshimod. Yoshimod can make your work so beautiful. Check this brother out. Give him your support. Yes, yes, give him your support.
G-I-J, comma J, equals zero. Now, G-I-J, comma J, equals zero. Now, say it loud, louder and loud, let us all celebrate. G-I-J, comma J, equals zero. Now, G-I-J, comma J. We no beg, steal, or borrow. We bury Jim Crow under the ground. And we no dig him up. This is the black man's time. Yes, this is the black man's time. Say it loud, I'm black and I'm proud. Hey, yes, I'm here to let you know.
Support Yoshimod, support JP. It is so much beautiful research that's being done out there by members of the family. JP, she's written a number of books, and I think that it's very important in the sense that you sometimes support them, because see, the family is out there trying to give us, in a sense, a lot of knowledge, and we need, in a sense, this knowledge. And I'm so proud of people who've taken up, in a sense, the 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 chore of trying to research our history, discuss who and what we are, and try to spread this knowledge and give this knowledge to other people. Because see, this is it. Is that the only way that we can spread knowledge is by doing the research, and I'm so very proud. And I'm also very proud of what Yoshimod does, especially some of the very beautiful research and the videos that he's done. His videos are just so interesting. I'm gonna let me show you a couple of them now. Support Yoshimod.
Ancients have chose me. This happens often. Ooh, the scale is now tipping. We must prepare for them. The world is dangerous. It's all show. Rain falls down. Most people don't know. Tables turn. All our enemies burn. Ashes, ashes, dust to dust. Oh, know how to get you. Wake your whole ass up. We battled before. We're still in this war. My patience is over. Over and gone. You protect yours, and I'll protect mine. You protect yours, and I'll protect mine. You and I are on the front line. Don't let them lie to you. We've been here this whole time. I'm telling you. And I've been on this front line. Don't let them lie to you. We've been here this whole time.
Go, you got to go. You got to go and support Yoshimod. Yoshimod is the man. Go and support Yoshimod. Go to Gumroad. He's done a beautiful job. He did the cover for JP's book. Let's hear more about JP's book. Get out of here.
Collecting half the ancient law, metaphysical keys to unlock the door. With the guided visions of Yoshimo, ancient black spirituality. Celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, spiritual within me, our history. Ancient black spiritual.
This is JP's book. This is the beautiful cover. The beautiful cover that Yoshimod did for JP's book. Buy it. Support the stir. Support the brother.
Spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, spiritual within me, our history. The rose flaming Dravidian tide, symbols of power where the truth resides. The last G light, a beacon so pure, pineal gland open to unleash the cure. Ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, cosmic melanated energy, spiritual within me, our history. Ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial cosmic melanated energy, spiritual within me, our history. The rose flame, Dravidian tide, symbols of power where the truth resides. Making so pure, pineal gland open to unleash the cure. Ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony, melanated energy, black spirituality, ancient black spirituality, galactic celestial symphony. very place that lies Gian's light, a guiding star telling us who we truly are. Let's read this book together. Let's read this book together. Metaphysical, physiological, spirits intertwine. It's logical. Let's read this book together. Let's read this book together. Let's read this book together. Let's read this book together.
Buy the book, Ancient Black Spirituality. Go to Amazon.com. Spend some money. Get this book. Get this book. Because see, as I said, but you got to also go to Gumroad. And when you go to Gumroad, you got to try to buy some of the videos that Yoshimod has made, because they're just so fantastical. So fantastical.
It's been infiltrated. Yeah, you have to do this alone. That's what we're saying. Yeah, that information has been infiltrated. Yeah, you have to do this on your own, but you're not alone. You're not alone. Nah, I'm saying not alone. You're not alone. Your information has been infiltrated. That's what I'm saying. You have to do this on your own. My information has been infiltrated. And we must do this alone, but you're not on your own. Jig is up. Make us switch up. Time up. Jig is up. Time up. Make us switch up. Time, yeah. The jig is up. Time now. Make us switch up. Kinda.
Look at this artwork. Look at this creativity. Look at the genius's work. Yoshimod, the genius.
The jig is up. Time's up. Time to switch up. Time to switch up. Give me totals how to die and come back. Oh, make totals do when we come back. Hear what I say? Me, no disrespect, but I see something wrong. Teach us knowledge, move on. Start repeating old same sad song. We the matrix because I'ma put us before we move on. Ain't no time for no backtrack. I don't know, it's that ultimate payback. With my popcorn in my view, you think they watching me? They're watching you. Time to write a new script for a baby. But you stuck on Bill Gates going crazy. He ain't in my peripheral. Something wrong when you have no control over your damn self. Well, ain't no shortcuts over here. Soon as you get it, it all disappear. Ain't no such thing as fast money. If you in the spirit of slow honey, it's good to know the history. But on a cool, that's just a part of me. So I pledge allegiance here while I'm breathing, that I don't get involved with all the scheming. I'm saying I'm leaving for this here reason. You don't see what's beyond what you so-called the truth. My information has been infiltrated. Yeah, you have to do this alone. That's what we're saying. Yeah, the information has been infiltrated. Yeah, you have to do this on your own, but you're not alone. You're not alone. I say you're not alone. You're not alone. You're not alone. What you up on this one? Say you're not alone. Your information has been infiltrated. That's what I'm saying. You have to do this on your own. My information has been infiltrated. And we must do this alone, but you're not on your own. Jig is up, time to make a switch up. Time up, jig, time to make a switch up. Time, yeah, the jig is up. Time to make the jig is up. Time's up. Time to switch up. Time to switch up.
This is a message to the B1 community. It's time to switch up. You know what I'm saying?
It's time to switch up.
South African drum.
Alright, at night, red light, green light, I slide, pass side, you're mine. New life, unite, you bright, inside, I'm mine, to mine, inside, to see through your eyes. One fooled me twice, second time wasn't so easy. So many before have tried to deceive me, got close to me, but they so-called breeze. So don't tell me what trust is, I know what dust is. Has come take fear, face that with him. Hand me down, kill, fire with fire, spirit with spirit, ego versus falcon, whatever the image. Yoshi, my giving, 9-9 rhythm. I'ma shake it, him, rich been with him. African syndrome, money coming with him. Some fall victim, gain more income. Ain't no issue with our spiritual, connected with energy, something lyrical. We're known for centuries, blacks in a pain, no more global peace. Yoshi.
Meditate, try like I did all day. Yo, shit ain't happening, dumb as shit, but it feel numb.
At night, red light, green light, I slide, pass side, in flight, you breathe, you're mine. New life, unite, you bright, inside, I'm mine, to mine, inside, to see through your eyes. In your friends, just don't sit right, told to take it easy, but I'm up every night, different visitors, I'm cool. Most nights, low frequency, raise ball, take flight, light up the night sky, low beam, burn ice, cold wind chill, light, firefly, don't put no be all no way, see me glowing, lower my eyes, be lonely, looking for cheap ride, with me, take a trip to the real side, swing and bang is no option, moving shot with no caution, swing on the night, live is now known, sitting high tide, it used to be known, so time getting bright. Futures are wrong, let's open up shop. Constitution on the blind.
Meditate, channeling all day, like I did all day. Yo, shit ain't happening, dumb as shit, but it feel numb.
At night, red light, green light, I slide, pass side, in flight, you breathe, you're mine. New life, unite, you bright, inside, I'm mine, to mine, inside, to see through your eyes.
I stood by the ocean. I laid by the shore. The sun it bathed me. My skin is pure. True melanated. I'm activating nature. I am one with her. I'm activating nature. I am one with her. I'm activating nature. I am one with her. Nature. My feet are on the ground. My toes are the ground. Yeah, fundamentals when we ask about your assets. Ask this, ask questions, ask less. Be the best, take the rest what the sun get. Sunburn, sun wrist, that's a sun kiss. Yeah. Please tell me about your motive. Melanated skin tone and the glowing. Isn't that enough to keep the boat rolling? Spoke up too soon, why you get chosen? Melanated, melanated. My skin is pure. My skin is activated. I reach the higher energy, higher power. I am knowledge, I am this, I am that. Why you sour? What's your problem? Why you hate? Why you frontin'? Why you fussing? Why energy, the negative eyes, negative power, negative ions. Why you total opposite, total tragedy? Why you totally mad at me? I never took time to love you. I never took time to kiss you. I never took time to study you. Yeah. I never took time to leave you away. I never took time to pull you on. I never took time. I never took time to see you grow. I never took time. Time to come home. Now that we're eating home, don't you feel needed? Time to receive it, all the belonging. I am anointed, touch your taste, the irritation, spiritual bag, body was aching, concentration, meditation, I see nature, soaking the feelings, time to start healing, spiritual women come to existence, all is forgiven, then why did you kill them, why did you hate them, why did you forsake me? I never took time to love you, I never took time to kiss you, I never took time to miss you more. I never took time to study you on. I never took time to watch you grow. I never took time. I never took time to love you all. I never took
We have to. We have to, in a sense. You got to support this brother Yoshi Mod. You got to go to Gumroad, buy his video, buy his music. You could be riding in your car and you could be hearing these great songs. You got to support him. Go to Gumroad. Go to Spotify. Come on now. Support this. Support Yoshi Mod, the genius.
The ancients have chose me. This happens often. The scale is now clear. Prepare for them. The world is dangerous. It's all show. Rain falls down. Most people don't know. Tables turn. All our enemies burn. We battled before, but still in this war. My patience is over and take your, and I'll protect mine. You'll protect your, protect mine. You and I are on the front line. Don't let them lie to you. We've been here this whole time. I'm telling you, and I've been on this front line. Don't let them lie to you. We've been here this whole time. Now, she was only.
You know, we have to realize in a sense that we have to be more supportive. Go to Yoshimaru's channel, support him, you know. Go to Gumroad, buy geniuses out there. I mean, instead of carrying around some stuff with the sexy red and made and playing that in your car, if you're playing Yoshimod stuff, you're gonna have in a sense great music. Music's gonna make you feel good. That's gonna allow you in a sense to understand that it's very important, you know. And this is very important, you know. Thank you, Chemistry Black Magic, Dr. Clyde. I just cashed up your $8 for the president. I would find your app right now. Yeah, I don't have his cash. I'm sorry, I don't have his cash app right now. But the point is, this is at here it is. This is a Yoshimod's cash app. If you guys want to give the brother some money, this is his cash app. $Domiche 999. You know, send the brother some support. Show him some love. You know, because see, remember, he's making this for you. He's sharing his talent with us. He doesn't have to do this, you know. You know, we got to support the B1 family. So if you'd like to, please cash app Yoshimod. You know, here's his thing, $Domiche 999. Again, Domiche 999. Cash app the brother, because see, when you cash app, and what you're doing is that you're financing, you're supporting his work. When he's making these movies, you become a producer of these movies, you know. Yes, you become a producer of these movies, you know. And this is very important that you support Yoshimod. So, you know, cash out the brother a little this or a little that. Cold Water said Dr. Winters would say the Dogon of Kushite origin. Of course, the Dogon would be of Kushite origin. They have a lot of relationship goes back to the Mandy. Dorvale, he finally, in a sense, I was looking for the meaning of Kushite, and I think he showed that it means brilliant or something like that. So it's very important that we deal with this stuff, you know. And you know, just like JP said, Yoshi is very giving. He deserves our support. Yes, he support. Go to Gumroad, download his material. Send the brother some support. Send the brother some love. Come on, send Yoshimod some love. Share. You know, $5, $10, $20, $50. Support the brother. Because see, every dollar that you give in a sense to Yoshimod, what you're doing is that's like you're becoming a producer of one of his videos, a producer of one of these great videos that he's making, you know. I'm gonna play one more of his videos, and that video is called Marcy. And this is a great video, and this is about a girl who was raped. And just listen to the sincerity, listen to the truth.
He came out the darkness and attacked her. She had to face him in court. But remind you, she was only a teen. This is the story of Marcy. Feel so much pain right now. I try not to let okay, Marcy. Tell me that you're okay. She never lived out a teen. She never lived out a teen. You took it away. Resist the essence of a child. Now we see the fool, the known pedophile. Watch him all stand trial as he mock and hate. Seeing him once again sealed Marcy's faith, pure evil. These people, pure evil. These people, feel so much pain right now. I try not to let it show. Something that they could prevent. I wish that they could have known. Why I have to see him now? In 10 years they set him free. Why won't they let me be? Where do we go from now? Mama, I can never heal. So much pain it caused. I don't want to be here in tears. Yoshi. Yeah. Alright. Huh. Yeah. I'm Yoshi. Yeah. Go ahead, that's her. NTR. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me because I am blunt. I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I want. I am blunt. I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I want. I say what I want. No restrictions, no filter. Revealed. We all want the truth in our ear. We all want the truth in our ear. Tell me I'm wrong, I make the correction. Something went wrong, you switch the directions. Hate me so much, you block my blessings. Truth should set you free from exceptions. Loving me, love the heat, hate the babe, learn the street. They hate love, love the pain. All the music sounds the same. Entertain, not a game. You're to blame. I can never be that kind of way because we all have different emotions. We are entitled to our opinions, but when you talk, it just don't make sense. That's why when you speak, I don't believe it. So I analyze every damn thing, and I also do my own research too. So you can't tell me any damn thing, and I've been trained to see right past you. The Illuminati, they can't have my body. The Illuminati, they can't lead nobody. They can't call my body now. No restrictions, no filter here. Only the truth, truth get revealed. All we want, truth in here. All we want.
Hit that cash app. Come on. Hit that cash app for Yoshi Mod the Genius. Come on now. Hit the cash app.
Truth in our ear. Take the correction. Something went wrong. Switch the direction. Take me so much. Block my pleasure. Truth is living. Truth from possession. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me for what I might say. You probably be mad at me because I am blunt. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I say nothing but truth. I am blunt. I say what I feel. I say what I want. I am blunt.
I want to thank everybody for joining me this week. Next week, next Thursday, I'll come with another program. But hopefully, in a sense, I hope you guys enjoyed today's program, press that like button. Come on, press that like button and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. That way you can hear my next presentation. But the most important thing is this, is understand is that we have to be supportive. We have to support each other. You know, support the people who do the work. Come on now, don't be shy. You know, don't be shy. Support the people who speak up. Thank you very much for joining me this week. See you next Thursday.
If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. If you're not going to speak up, support the ones who do. Vampires, they prey on your fears, tell them to stay away. Vampires, they prey on your fears, control your honest fears.